Hello, good afternoon from the cruel, brutal capitalist dictatorship of Kuala Lumpur. Hope you're having an amazing day, because if you're having an amazing day, I'm having an amazing day. If I'm having an amazing day, you should be having an amazing day. So recently, a DAP, Democratic Action Party lawmaker, came out in favor of means testing. Now, this DAP lawmaker was basically saying that there are two types of poor people in the world: the so-called deserving poor and the so-called undeserving poor, who are basically the lazy poor, who don't deserve anything. Now, the fact of the matter is that I've never liked DAP. I've always considered it to be a SOC-Dem social democratic party. You know, it basically a full progressive party, and I'm surprised that, that our Malaysian reactionaries would call it a communist party, because it seems to me that anyone to the left of Adolf Hitler is communist by Malaysian reactionary standards. But DAP is an offshoot of Lee Kuan Yew's PAP, so it is not a left-wing party. Lim Kit Siang, Lim Guan Eng, and the rest of these DAP lawmakers are not left-wingers. They are fundamentally SOC-Dems or social democrats. And when times get tough, you see just how these SOC-Dems end up sounding just like your garden variety American Republican. But this just goes to show, guys, that Pakatan Harapan is revealing its neoliberal fangs very openly to the world. In fact, Pakatan Harapan has made no pretenses at all of being a socialist party. It has made no pretenses at all of being a party for the people, because their slogan is Harapan, hope for change. But change for whom? Change for the people or change for some people? You see, I will tell you the truth. I've never actually been a Pakatan Harapan supporter. Personally, I have always maintained that the only politicians you can trust in the 21st century are socialist politicians, not national socialist politicians, not social democrats. If a politician does not either identify as a communist, which is illegal in this country, or a socialist, which is legal in this country, that politician is not to be trusted. That is what I've always tried to stress on my channel. But the fact of the matter is that Malaysia still is quite a reactionary country. So even our left wing is not really very far to the left. But the point is, DAP, and yes, many of you would have heard of that Malaysian Indian gentleman who went on the hunger strike in protest against BlackRock's incursion into Malaysian soils. Of course, as usual, his hunger strike, which lasted for more than 7 days, fell on deaf ears when it came to the neoliberal people in Pakatan Harapan. You know, our so-called pro-Palestine Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, ignored this hunger strike. Because fundamentally, as I've said, Harapan is basically a colonial stooge party and a capitalist comprador party. Harapan may wax lyrical about being an anti-Israel, pro-Palestine sort of party in public, but behind closed doors, after 6 p.m., they are all friends. Yes, Anwar Ibrahim is friends with Joe Biden and is friends with the German Chancellor after 6 p.m. Fundamentally, Anwar Ibrahim's neckties are simply too close for comfort. And the fact of the matter is that Anwar has not changed. Anwar is basically a netman, a neoliberal through and through. Yes, he was persecuted under the Mahathir administration. Yes, he was brutally persecuted, and that is very unfortunate. But when you play politics, that is the danger when you are a politician, right? you get stabbed in the back. He wasn't persecuted because he was good, he was persecuted because he lost to a bigger wolf. That would be Mahathir. But the point is, the only party at this point, if it hasn't been made plainly obvious enough, the only party that we as Malaysians can trust is the Socialist Party. Change will be difficult under the Socialist Party, no doubt. We have many minds to change, and it will be a slow and tedious process deprogramming the minds of Malaysians from reactionary thought. But change will be impossible under Pakatan Harapan. I think there's a very popular argument among people with an individualistic mindset that, all we need to do is just change the country into something like Singapore, make it a meritocracy, no race-based politics, no religion-based politics, just compete based on merit and all will be well. But fundamentally, who defines merit? You know everyone has got a different idea of what merit entails. And second of all, even if the country became a country like Singapore, for example, Singapore does have race-based politics. It's just not out in the open like in Malaysia. They're more cunning about hiding it because they have a reputation to protect. But the point is, even in a society, the so-called Singaporean meritocratic society, you have people of vastly different socioeconomic backgrounds who will have vastly different socioeconomic results because of their socioeconomic backgrounds. And I can prove it to you if you just give me 5 minutes to talk about it. Let me just hear out this thought experiment for a bit. Now I have a student, okay? His name is, I'll keep it private, I won't say his name, but he's a Chinese Malaysian who studied with me for a year or so, and then he went to Australia to further his education. He's 20 this year. Now this boy is well looked after by his parents. His parents still go over to Australia a few times a year in order to check that he's okay, to make sure he has enough food to eat, enough warm clothes to wear, and that he's not getting into any sort of trouble. So this boy is well supported, like most middle-class Chinese Malaysians, well taken care of by his parents, as should be the case. But on the other hand, I also have a friend whose name I won't mention, but he's an African-American friend. Now, this African-American friend of mine comes from the ghetto, and his mother abused him. Not only did she abuse him, she also told him that she could not wait for him to get out of her house when he turned 18. Fundamentally, she washed her hands clean of him when he turned 18. And so, compare the upbringings of both of these young men. One of them has supportive parents who will always support him as long as they live and will provide him with an education, provide him with a safety net, and provide him with a leg up in life. On the other hand, you have a man who has been thrust into the cold, bad world when he's only 18 years old. He's thrust into the cold world when he's only 18, and he's basically forced to fend for himself when he's merely 18 years old. And, he can't rely on anybody. Even if the system was fair and both of these men were competing on an equal challenge, who do you think has the leg up in life? The point is, it's easy to talk about meritocracy or fairness of the process. But then again, individualists do not take into account systemic, or not only systemic factors, they also do not take into account the generational causes of poverty. in that poverty is reproduced when people are not given a leg up in life and some people are given a leg up in life. But I also wanted to say that there's this really patronizing, even patronizing is not even the word I was looking for. It's a denigrating attitude among these liberals in treating poverty as if it were a character flaw, in treating poverty as if it were the fault of a poor person. What I mean to say is that when we go back and look at that DOP lawmaker's words, that, oh, there are certain poor people who are deserving and certain poor people who are undeserving. This is very much a reproduction of what any American Republican would say. This is very much a reproduction of what someone like Thomas Sowell would say. You know, it's a very denigrating mentality. You know why? Because on one hand, you know, poor people have to be brilliant. Poor people, children from poor families or children from broken, dysfunctional homes under your so-called meritocracy, they have to be brilliant if they are to hope to survive, if they are to hope to get a scholarship. While on the other hand, if you're a kid from an upper middle class family, or if you're a kid from a bourgeois family, you only need to exist in order to have human rights. While if you're a kid who was born to a broken, dysfunctional, poor family, you get kicked out at 18, well, tough luck, but if you don't prove yourself, you are seen as worthless in the eyes of these people, in the eyes of these sock-dems. Do you see what I'm getting at? These people who say that there's a difference between the deserving poor and the undeserving poor fundamentally view poor people as worthless unless they can prove their worth. Yet children of rich or upper middle class parents are worth something just for existing. They will never be homeless, they'll always have a home to go back to, and they will always have the support and safety net of their parents. And it's not something I'm begrudging them for even. But I am saying it's really infuriating seeing this double standard that we have for the children of the rich and children of the poor. Why is it children of the rich or children of the upper middle class have value just for existing, but children of the poor have no value? They're seen as garbage unless they can prove themselves. That's not a good that to me is what ticks me off a lot. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm being some kind of a Calvinist in saying that, oh, you know, if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, then you're definitely going to succeed, while if you are born into a poor ghetto family, you're destined to become a gangster. That is not my intention. Only the most disingenuous fucks would say that's my intention of saying that, oh, only rich or middle class people can succeed. Yes, some people have clawed their way out of poverty, out of grinding poverty, but, you know, the vast majority of people who are born into grinding poverty stay in grinding poverty. Had I been born not into a middle class Peranakan family, but rather to a family from the rough side of town, who's to say I wouldn't have ended up a gangster? You see, the difference between a slumdog, and I don't mean the term derogatorily, I don't mean to be derogatory with that term. The only difference between a slumdog and a person who's from a middle class family, a slumdog and a yuppie, so to speak, in most cases, the only difference is an accident of birth, right? Had the opposite happened, had the two of those people switched souls, then the result would have been the same. You know, people like Jordan Peterson always say, for example, that, oh, you know, the rich are simply better at money. They're simply better at handling money. And that's why, no matter what, the rich will always be rich, because rich people have a way of doing things that poor people don't. But these people will never subject themselves to the same standards that they hold poor people to, and what's more importantly is that they will never subject their own children to the standards that they subject the children of poor people to. Yes, all these neoliberal people who moralize about, thrift and, and being financially savvy with your money, these fuckers are all give a leg up to their children, and they don't hold their own children to the same standard as they hold the children of poor people too. So you shouldn't take advice, financial advice from someone if they would not hold their own children to the same standards they hold you to, you see. But what I wanted to say in this video, what I wanted to get across, is really that Pakatan Harapan will not be our salvation. Any political party, any politician who refuses to identify as a socialist, who identifies as any other thing but a socialist, will not be the salvation of this country. The only salvation of Malaysia, the only thing that we can hope for a better Malaysia, not just the only thing that we can give us hope for a better Malaysia, not just for the children of the middle classes or the upper classes, but for all Malaysian children, is if we have a politician who identifies as a socialist, who wants to improve the material conditions not only of certain poor, but of all poor, and who does not regard the poor with suspicion, with contempt, with this belief that unless they can prove themselves, they are worthless. The only politician who can save Malaysia in this respect would be a socialist politician. We are tired. We on the left are tired of liberals, social democrats, and so on and so forth, pretending to be progressive and saying that, oh, if you don't support PH, oh, you must support PN, right? Bullshit. You must have a brain the size of a peanut if you think that we support Pakatan Nasional, who are the Malaysian equivalent of the Republicans, just the Islamofascist equivalent of the Republicans, just because we don't like Pakatan Harapan. It's like saying you must support MAGA if you don't like the Democrats. No, there are some people who actually have higher standards for leaders. Your standards must be pretty low if you think someone like DAP or someone like any other social democrat like Bernie Sanders is a progressive leader. No, it's going to be socialism or barbarism. Okay, let me put it this way. Not even barbarism. From this point, it's either going to be socialism or fascism. The contradictions between the rich and the poor in Malaysia are sharpening as we speak, right? I think I have walked around town and shown you the poorer sides of Malaysia, and now I'm walking around a relatively affluent place, which is a shopping mall, to show you the contradictions between two Malaysias. The point that I'm trying to make is the contradictions are sharpening, and the masses can either be pushed to the left or to the right. And right now the masses are going to be deciding the fate of Malaysia. And so, if they feel that the people on the left view them with contempt, view them with disdain, as some working class people in the West feel, because liberals in the West have made their contempt for poor working class white people apparent, if they feel contempt by the left, they will be pushed to the right. Because say what you want about the right wing in Malaysia, they don't express such explicit contempt as the left does, even if they may feel it in their heart, because they still want to look like good Islamists, right? So the point I'm trying to make is we need to actually disassociate ourselves from liberals and social democrats, and the only people we can call our allies, the only people we can call our friends, our political friends are socialists. Socialists, no ifs, no ors, no buts. If you're not a socialist and you are a politician, I don't trust you. Yeah, I view you with the same kind of suspicion I view anyone in Pakatan Harapan at this point. So like I said, we're going to have to make a choice. It's going to be either socialism or fascism. So, yeah, we on the left need to really make it clear to the Malaysian masses that people, these white-collar technocrats in Pakatan Harapan do not reflect the Malaysian masses. People in DAP, people like these Pakatan Harapan cryptos, they do not at all reflect the masses, or they do not at all reflect the left in any way, shape or form. Fundamentally, Malaysia has two right-wing parties. It's just that one of them pretends to be on the left, but it's really no different from a right-wing party. So, yeah, at this point, Malaysians must be made aware that the only way forward is socialism. Social democracy will not save us, liberalism will not save us, and for the umpteenth time, the Singapore model will not save us. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.